Welcome to this episode of Hope Ropes. I am your host, Vanessa Azalis, and I'm here every week with a new guest with a story of hope, transformation, of healing, of recovery. All you need to do is get comfortable, listen with an open heart and mind, and grab onto these hope ropes. Borrow belief from us. Today we have Helmut, also known as the Mindful Gardener. Hey.
Hey,
And he and he's a fellow Canadian, which is awesome. You're not
yeah,
too far from me. And he's going to be sharing his own journey of healing and recovery from over 70 symptoms. At his
mhm,
worst, he survived on just two safe foods while coping with diagnoses of anxiety, OCD, looping thoughts, PTSD, gut issues, MCAS, MCS, histamine and I mean, it goes on, and he fully recovered, and he's not just living, but he is thriving, and now he helps others on their own path to recovery. So, welcome, Helmut.
thank you for having me. Good to see ya.
Yeah. Yes, I've been on your channel a couple of times, so I'm so happy to have you here and get the opportunity to share your story. So bring us to kind of when this all started for you, right? Your perfect storm, so to speak. When it all started.
I would say 2020, that was my second perfect storm. I would say you kind of have to go backwards a little bit. I had my first perfect storm in 2016 after getting out of a narcissistic relationship, I usually like to call it. And actually, since 2012, 2000, maybe even back for 2008, I've been dealing with symptoms here and there, right? Ulcerative colitis here and there, like five, and I managed them. Then I had my first perfect storm where I had 25 symptoms, and somehow I got back to life. I think I did the carnivore diet; it helped manage it, and I did a couple other things, and then we just went back to life. And I managed. And then fast forward to 2020, all of a sudden, I had 75 symptoms just hit like a light switch went off. First, it started with uh, food sensitivities. And I think what was the the thing that broke the camel's toe was when I had diverticulitis surgery, right?
Mm.
I had emergency surgery, and this was like, and now that I look back, um, I had back pain, but not back pain like, oh, my sciatic. No, it's more like I was having weird sensations, and I didn't know. I thought maybe it was my colon or something weird, right? Because sometimes a pain will deflect and make you think it's something else, and it gets you confused. So I was going to the hospital back and forth once in a while, and they were like, maybe it's a kidney stone you have to pass. I'm like, okay, because I had testicle pain, so I had mind body pains here and there that started, and then it went from that to diverticulitis, and it was like, my colon was, it was already screwed up, so they had to do emergency surgery, and they kind of missed it because I was looking for this kidney stone, and the pain from the kidney stone and back pain, mind body pain. Um, because of that, I was ignoring the diverticulitis pain because it was so similar, right? So then that caused me to go to the hospital and get emergency surgery. So it was like 6 hour surgery, very invasive. And that was, it's like it was almost necessary to get the ball rolling with all the symptoms to go, right. It's like
Mm.
my guides were telling me, all right, let's get him to do surgery because he's dicking around with trying to get this to explode. So it's like, okay, surgery, invasive, insane. And before that, it was like a slow ramp up. And then the surgery happens. And it's interesting. After the surgery, it was quiet. I was,
Mm.
recovering really nicely. Okay. Slowly. It was like the eye of the storm. Right. And then all of a sudden, I was reacting to every food. Right. And I'm like, how is this? What do you mean? Like my wife was making charcuterie boards, and there's deli meats on there, and there's, little things that somebody with a histamine intolerance or any intolerance, you're gonna find out. And then I'd have beer, and I'd have soup. I'm like, okay, fuck this. I'm gonna go on the carnivore diet. I'm gonna start fasting like the good old days. It worked, right? So I'm gonna carnivore it away. I tried that, and shit wasn't cutting it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have broth. I'm gonna have soup. I'm gonna get it right down to the middle, right down to the bare minimum. And I thought maybe the surgery, they botched something. Maybe there's something that, they didn't do right, or maybe my biome was out of whack. Maybe that's why this was happening. So I started taking these hardcore probiotics that were like sent in a freezer box from the States. You couldn't get them in Canada because I was trying to fix and figure out
I
among
think
many
I was
thousands
on
of things.
I think I was on those exact ones.
Yeah. There, this was just of many stupid things that I did to try to fix many. And this wasn't even the dumbest. I'd done some stupid shit. Right. So anyway, this is one of them. And it was one of the things that broke the camel's toe because it was invasive to the biome. Right. Because there's all this bacteria in it, too much bacteria. And then all of a sudden, yeah, that's when I started reacting to foods like crazy. And so there was a while there, was reacting to foods that I didn't know what was going on because I was trying to battle it with the regular ways that I battled everything, and now nothing was working. And of course, you get back into the researching again, the Facebook groups. Most of it's bad, but some of it's good because you get to find out what's wrong with
Yeah.
you. So I'm like, okay, I have mast cell activation syndrome. I thought maybe it was histamine intolerance. I wish I had that instead. And right, and then you get to find out the labels and stuff, which isn't good, but it's good in a way because you can kind of know where you are in
Yeah.
life at that moment. And then some of this researching got to brain retraining. So because of that, I finally found a stepping stone. But before that, I was in limbo land. I would say compared to others, not that long. I was in limbo land where I was, dealing with 75 symptoms plus in hell, bedridden, um, for 3-4 months only. Right? But during that 3-4 months, I thought I was a freak. I didn't know what was going on. People were like, they thought it was all in my head. I was running down the hallway screaming, trying to, figure what's going on. I'm like, this is what, I used to judge people for going through this stuff like this, for having a
Yeah.
sensitivity to 5 foods or blah, 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 blah. But I'm them times 10. What's going on? Um, so, I think it was good that I went through that purgatory phase where nothing was working because I had to try the things and they weren't working, and I had to go within to really dig deep and trust and find out in a way. And that's where you get in tune with yourself. And before,
Yeah.
we thought we were, but I don't think you really do until you're forced to have nothing work and go deep in the hell. So it's like every day I was thinking I was dying, um, and then I surrendered to the idea of death. But it was more like I'd rather die than suffer with this shit till I'm, 60. I don't
Yeah.
want to live in a basement. All my dreams are done. I'm not going to be the father, that I've always. I had all kinds of plans to do things with my daughter, do things with my wife, and the things you want to do. You want to open up a business or live out west in that beautiful home by the mountains and stuff like that. All my dreams are gone. So I'm like, fuck, I'd rather move on and live another life and be dead than to be suffering with these constant symptoms, you know, stretching out this hell. What, that for me was more scary than actually the idea of dying
Dying.
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
For me, it was always, you're going to die next Tuesday. And then it was like, no, 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 you're not going to die on Tuesday. You're going to die in 2 years. So I'm like, fucking in 2 years, I'm going to die. So what's the point of living now? Anything I do now is pointless. It goes out the window. So you have no hope, no motivation, right? And so, yeah, all your dreams are out the window. Your brain's latching on with a lot of doubt, and it's winning constantly. And you go down the rabbit holes, and then you go down the Facebook rabbit holes, and you see all the comment section where people are like, I've been dealing with this for 26 years. Get used to it. There's no way out. Because some people are like, if you heal the gut, and maybe if you detox
Yeah.
this and blah 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 blah. So some people are trying to find hope, but the moderators would shut it down, and then you latch onto that, and you're like, man, that's it. I'm lost. I'm done. That's it. But even though I still had that little spark of a knowing in me, just a little one, I'm like, there's got to be a way out. There's got to be something, and I feel it. And I did have a psychic tell me that I was going to be fine when I didn't believe her. And I don't know. I don't like talking about psychics too much, but this one was good. And after I had that last session, I never had a psychic session again, but it was a good one. So I like to leave it on a high note, right? And
Yeah.
she said, you're gonna overcome this. You're gonna go on a long journey, Helmut. When she said long, I was like, oh. She's like, long on the phone too, a long journey. But she said, you're gonna overcome. It's gonna work. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. I'm like, all right. So that also gave me a little bit of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh, we could have a whole other episode on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny enough because I had gone to a few psychics. Again, this theme of the stupid shit we do to heal the
Yeah.
weird stuff. But I had gone. It's funny because I had gone to a psychic back when I did that kind of stuff, and it was the last one I ever went to. And I remember he said something to me, and he said, he kept pulling this card, and it was like death, and it was like sickness, and he's like, "There's something's coming," and he couldn't say exactly what it was, and it was
Mm,
this, but it you're gonna die, but you're not gonna die, and it was like all of this, and obviously, not realizing it at the time, I had an NDE, I
yeah.
was on my deathbed, but after that, I had never gone to one again, and I never will. But it's so interesting how that's
I think
also
it's
part of
also
the
interesting
story.
that spirit only tells that the medium or whatever only information that you need to know. It won't go past usually, right? Usually it won't say more because it could ruin the trajectory of your path, right? So it's like we
Interesting,
won't say
yeah.
anything more. We're only going to say a little this, and then you find out, and whoa, good thing I went through it. Interesting. I learned so much, and
That's so interesting. Yeah, yeah,
right,
and
and you
so
get mad at the why did the medium not tell me this? Well, because they weren't supposed to tell you, and it was probably blocked in a certain way, filtered out.
did you have this obsession with wanting to know what was next in your life? Because I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
that was obsession I had is because I needed to have some sort of control, and it was this
fucking
wanting
50
to
times.
know what was next. Same, wanting to know what was next. I needed to know, and through this journey now, I don't know if you have the same experience, but I don't wanna know what's next because I know
Right,
whatever it is, I'm okay. Like, I get excited to not know what's next, right?
right.
It's a completely different experience, right?
Sometimes I need a little guidance.
Oh,
Not
you
50
do?
times a day, not 50 times a day, but like once a week, right? I'll get a little, guidance. But usually I follow the synchronicities, and you get the download. You get because we went through this journey, we were trained to be in tune, more in tune. You get more in tune. So you start to trust the information that comes, and you allow what happens, and usually 9 times out of 8, it works out in your favor
Yeah,
so
and you're
far.
describing a sense of faith as well,
Yeah.
right? In a sense, right? Faith in something greater than yourself, knowing that there's a power that is for you, right? That wants things to work out for you. And that for me was, again, what grew throughout this process was faith. But let's go back to kind of where you were at,
Yeah.
and all the symptoms. You're on these groups. You have a
Yeah.
spark of hope, a
Mm,
spark. That's all you need. And
mm.
then what happens?
So, well, I went down a couple of rabbit holes here and there, and then I was in one of these toxic Facebook groups. I think it was histamine intolerance 101, something like that. And a person on there, she said that she has 11 foods in, and I was like, whoa, 11 foods? Wouldn't that, I would be happy if I could just get 11. I could live life because I was compromising and surrendering to if I can just eat 5 or 11 foods, I could technically live life.
Yeah.
I could be okay. I could figure this out, right? And then her comment got deleted, but I messaged her and she said, check into DNRS brain retraining. Um, I've been doing that for a while, and it's been helping me be able to eat foods. I'm like, okay. So I went ahead for it. Like I was already working with naturopaths from Toronto. They had like 500 um 5-star review stuff, like one of the best, right? And she was right. She meant well, good person, but supplements and blah blah blah. But I kept her on the sidelines. I did Joe Dispenza stuff on the side. So I started creeping into mind body stuff because
Mhm.
nothing else was making sense. So a little bit of woo woo, right? And then so I said, fuck it, I'm going to do DNRS. So I went in head first, DNRS, and it took me a while to kind of get it and learn it because there was, it was a lot. I didn't understand how neuroplasticity, how a neural pathway can
Yeah,
heal
yeah.
somebody from fucking Lyme disease. I'm like, so what? It just bypasses the
Yeah.
disease, and you just kind of just whatever, and you're good. Okay, 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 I can. But it wasn't like that at all. But that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was.
Yeah.
So I was like, I still don't get it, and I had to do that. I think it was 2 months learning curve for me because I was like, okay, am I doing the Macarena thing right in the beginning? Because there's like a circle thing where you have to talk to your higher self, right? So I was trying to perfect that. Uh, it was shitty. I joined the forum so I could get more direction. Then I started doing it. I was doing it like wishy washy. And I was like, no, 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 let's do this. Let's really do it. So then I had a routine, a bit of a schedule. I had my calendar. So I had a calendar. I had sticky notes on it every day I finished, done. I was very religious about all the pillars. I made sure I did them like crazy, and it was great. I had something that I was following. So I went from bedridden to walking in the house, and
Awesome.
then eventually I got this a senior dog that we had to take care of. So the dog forced me to bring her out because she had to pee. So then we were just walking around the cul-de-sac. Then it was 1 kilometer. Then eventually I was out in the sun. I had sun sensitivity, and eventually I was able to get out. So physically, I started to
Improve,
ground.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I started to symptoms started to go away slowly. I started to understand what was going on. I had a path. It was
Yeah.
great. I loved it. This is, I wasn't. I was still having lots of symptoms, but there was a path, and I was like, I was blown away. I was like, man, this is. And then watching the success stories,
Yeah.
right, and then getting some coaches here and there, which now that I look back, they didn't understand what was going on. But anyway, um, I walked the path, and then I noticed when around the 8th month mark or 10th, yeah, 8th month to like a year, the more I was healing physically, the more my mental alarms skyrocketed. So all of a sudden, I was having
Ooh.
phobias, severe, severe, severe OCD. Like there was no pause button. Looping. I had a safe room where I was looping constantly, trying to figure out my problems. I was constantly, my stomach was constantly bracing, trying to figure out stuff in a room, like with a nice ambient light. Right, that's all I did. Is I'd go eat my steak and rice and go and just pace back and forth. So eventually, I was like, okay, I'm moving backwards here. I feel like I'm getting worse. I feel like I'm going crazy. And I asked some of the people, did you go through this? And they're like, yeah, yeah, I'm going through this now. Or some other people like, yeah, that's what I went through. You got to keep going, blah, blah. Other people were going, distract, make sure you distract. And every group coaching session, people were talking about pops, like the mental
Yeah.
stuff. They're like, and it was one of the biggest questions, and it was ongoing questions. And people, they would just say, just redirect and distract, don't, right. And it's just, and for me, things got worse and worse and worse. So then eventually I saw Simona. She had, sometimes people talked about their wins on the forum, or that
That's great.
they have the recovery. So then she posted her success story, and I was like amazed, floored. But near the bottom, she said, I use DNRS, but I also use different approaches that I'm, I'm not sure if this will be flagged at all. And then she talked about her different approaches, and I was like, whoa, that's weird. Interesting. And normally I wouldn't dare to read it, but I saw the safety because she was using DNRS and she had the same symptoms as me. So I
Mhm.
was more willing to be open to it because DNRS, I was like this, holding on to that, right?
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
nothing else. I'm not doing anything else. I'm doing this.
Yes.
And then I reached out to her and I asked her some questions. And then she said, yep, you can do DNRS with this different approach. She's like, check out ERP, check out the dare response in that area. And I'm like, this sounds kind of like Claire Weeks stuff, because I had one of Claire Weeks' books and I totally forgot about her stuff. She's like, yeah, totally. So then she pointed me to the right direction, and then I became my own guinea pig. I started to experiment. I did all the wrong things. And when you do all the wrong things with OCD looping thoughts, it's the greatest teacher. It's going to show you because it doesn't let off. There's no pause button. So
Mhm.
you're gonna find out slowly, very slowly, how to get through it. So I did the new applied work. I started doing allowing. I took away the resistance with my thoughts. I allowed them to be there. I felt the feelings, I dissolved the sensations of the energy that I was resisting, and I moved on. I started changing my routine around and kept people beside me that fully recovered and dealt with what I dealt with. That was really important. So it was like 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
And I try not to drive them nuts by asking too many questions, which was also, important so that they stay around. So I kept doing the work. At the 2-year mark, I probably felt more crazy than I did the whole recovery journey. But
Mm,
but I understood this is supposed to be like that. So I was
yeah.
kind of prepared. I had the mindset ready because they told me. Plus, I understood, okay, the more you do it, it's gonna start trying to find new ways to get your attention because we're getting out of the survival state. We're coming down here now, but we're not out of the woods yet. It's got to find a way to get your attention. So you're gonna feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, this is normal. I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm 2 years into this. I've been very loyal and I've been doing the work every day. So I just kept going. I started doing my walk and talks every day, visuals every day, elevating every day. Um, running around doing errands, running the errands, and I stuck with my routine. And it was a more of a routine, not like a tight
Right.
schedule like somebody
Yeah.
would have if they had CFS. It wasn't like minute to minute. It was more like ish, like
Yes.
8:30 ish. I'm gonna do my visuals till like 10 ish, and then I'm gonna walk for 3 hours, and then maybe around 1 ish, I'm gonna go make lunch. So that's kind of how it was Groundhog Day every day, pretty much. But it worked for me. It supported
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
right? Instead of me, right, being a slave to it, it was there to support me. So then I just kept cracking at it. And even right near the 3rd year mark, right before recovery, symptoms were still insane. Like my setbacks felt like they were more intense. My looping thoughts they were calming down, but there was days that they were just so aggressive. It felt like, whoa, it felt like my head was heavy. I was like,
Yeah.
man, this is insane. Like, okay, I get it. This is a setback. You're getting really aggressive now. And sometimes you kind of forget because things soften and then it gets aggressive again and the doubt comes back in, right? The doubt was like, oh, this is great. This is a great gig. We're going to be all over this. It's like flies on shit. So it worked great. But then I had to remind myself, you've had this before for 2.5 years. Like this is not okay. So then you remember, okay, we're going to move through this again and just keep going, keep going, keep going. And then 3 years in, all of a sudden it's like, I'm in a, I'm in a zone. I'm recovered, but
Mm,
I'm not done yet because I got to go get a
yes.
job. I got to go get back to the swing of life. So then you go do that and sometimes come back a bit, go, "Yee," right? So I get in the swing of life. I start bringing my circle even bigger and bigger, get back to hanging out with old friends,
Yeah.
doing things that I used to do, right? Even though at that time I didn't know that I didn't want to do them, but I did them anyway because I had to be able to do them and have a
Right.
choice and go, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't want to do it, not because I can't.
Yeah.
I was able to eat all the foods, all the symptoms are gone. Started getting back to work. Became like an Uber driver for a bit, uh, which was great exposure. Started going back to family events, doing things again, and then eventually actually after the 3rd year, I would say another year was needed for me to be really, you know, confident. Voice was strong again because I had a thin voice that would cut out. Um, and like symptoms are like long gone. I totally forgot what they were. It takes me a while to even remember what they were. So recovery, 3 years, because it's like recovery means kind of like where you were before you got all the
Hmm.
symptoms. And then thriving health, 4 years altogether, one more year. And then it went kind of spiritual. Just that's where I'm at. I'm more of the, second, 3rd year going spiritual and the past year and a half now I'm doing the deeper work, more of the emotional shadow work, some of the
Yeah. Yeah.
past adaptive mechanisms. I'm doing them. They kind of came to me. I didn't think to dig for them, but they
Yeah.
kind of started opening up. I'm like, what is this? Okay, okay. Well, let's see. Curious observer. Let's see where this brings me. So that's where I'm at now. Fully recovered though.
Okay. All right. So again, your stories, like most of the people I interview, it took time.
Yeah.
We're not overnight successes. I still haven't yet to meet a person who healed in that 6 month time
Uh-huh.
frame that we hear from many of of the programs out there, it does take time. I think about
Mhm.
the amount of time it took you to get to where you were. It's going to take time
Right.
to unlearn, to rewire, to kind of, evolve. And that's really what we're doing here. And so if I were to ask you, are you the same person you were prior to getting sick? Or do you feel like you are in a new identity? Are you, um, more in your true self? Like, what does that look like? How do you feel?
There was a it's like you are shedding your skin going through this journey, and
Yeah.
then you start to realize, because you're like this big sensitive radar. You start to realize the people that you're around. You're like, "Whoa, fuck, man, that guy's toxic. Oh man, he's just damn. Why was I around this all the time? Why was I?" And then I don't know why I was around this all the time. But you find that a little bit later. But then you start to go, I don't want to be around this person. I don't want to be around that. And I started deleting all these people. And my music taste changed. I started liking chilled out music. Maybe because I'm getting older. No, I think I don't want to listen to. I like metal. I'll listen
Okay.
to once in a while. I have to get into it, but I'd rather listen to chilled out music. I like nature now. I was never really into nature.
Yeah.
I love going on long walks. I love just to take it easy and savor life. And I look at the world totally different. I view it as like it's like I have a say in my life. I can create the world that I want. If, everything's a lesson. Everything there's so much more than what I thought before, and I'm grateful for the little things. Going to the store, getting a bag of chips is like the best thing ever. When before, you go to a trip to Alberta, you're by Lake Louise, and you're like, meh, right? You're
Yeah.
miserable. You're
Yeah.
angry. You're caught up with your survival state. You don't even. You're like, ugh, right now anything small, I'm like, that's amazing, right? You savor the seconds, the little things, right? A piece
Yeah.
of dark chocolate is just you can get it lost in it, right? It's
Yeah, isn't that
beautiful.
the beauty? A gift, right? Is like what you described too. I think of it as lifting the veil, right? You see everything differently,
Mhm.
and it's almost like I see now, not just through my eyes, but through my heart. It's like
Mm,
you feel it, you experience it, you're weaved in together with what is around you, and it's
mm,
this beautiful experience. And I think part of that is because we have allowed ourselves to feel the not so good stuff,
yeah.
right? Because think about when we come from a brain retraining typical DNRS, let's say, for example.
Mhm.
I remember, that first round when you first learn it, stop, stop, stop,
Mhm.
right? That
Yeah.
was what they trained you to say. It's like, stop, 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 stop everything. We, no, no, stop. We don't want to feel. We don't want to, talk
Mhm.
about this. We don't want to, it's that, that full repression, full stop,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Big time.
And when we think about that too, and we're, redirecting all the time and we're only choosing to elevate. I'm not saying that elevation is bad because there's a place for elevating our emotional state and, and feeling those really good feel good chemicals. But when we are choosing and being selective as to what we feel, only the
Mhm.
good, let's cut out the bad,
Yeah.
then we're also that's being mirrored in our experience in our life. Then we're really limiting that full experience of
Yeah.
humanity, right? So what you describe as like going and tasting a piece of chocolate and getting immersed in it. I think the
Mhm.
reason you are able to be in that place, obviously for that place from a place of gratitude for where you're at, but also because you built the capacity to
Yeah.
be with everything, right? The
Right.
thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, the beliefs, the parts, whatever is there. And
Right.
that's what we're trying to tell people is like, it's not, allowing, say from that perspective, the term allowing, right? It's not just about, okay, I'm going to allow this and, hopefully everything else softens and fades and goes away, or
Mhm.
I'm going to allow this and sit in my suffering is allowing is an evolution. And
Yeah.
allowing evolves and spreads out into the rest of your life and creates an expansive experience. And yeah, I just, I wanted to talk about allowing. Like, let's
Yeah.
segue into that, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions around it. From my perspective, I think there are levels and stages of allowing.
Yeah.
Not rigid to say that you have to do this, but from this concept of when you were in the thick of it, like the worst of the worst, and I told you you need to allow this all day long, could
Mm.
you?
No.
Oh,
You don't want to do that. That's like the opposite. That's probably the worst thing you can do on the planet at that
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
That's like opening that door behind it, and there's that liger behind there, and exposing yourself to it all day. You're gonna be flooded. It's gonna you're constantly activated, constantly, right? You got to have a time to just do a little bit, allow it, let it do its
Yeah.
thing, let it activate, let it integrate, and then the fire dies down lightly. You're in control. It's a light, steady way of doing it. Then you open
Yeah.
the door again slowly,
There you go.
and
So
you know what?
little bits at a time, right?
Yeah,
That
indirectly,
incremental.
I think DNRS in a way was set to me on purpose because it doesn't do allowing at all, right? So in a way, it's kind of what I needed just to focus on bringing in the safety,
Yeah.
right? I think you
I
said that
I
too.
think the
Bring
same
in the
thing for
safety,
me. Yeah, I think it was originally, because I was in such a state of complete terror,
right?
right? Complete terror, and I think at that point too, I mean, you can think of it as, like, technically we're allowing because we can't get rid of it, we have no choice, we're stuck in it, in a sense, but
Yeah,
how can I bring in an element of safety, right?
right.
A little bit of foundation, so that I can move on to what's next. So for me, yeah, DNRS was that starting point. It helped me understand that I wasn't broken, which was
Yeah,
probably the biggest gift,
we did with
right?
moving the body,
Yeah,
grounding. When you move the body, you ground. When you do
exactly.
visuals, it brings the survival state down. It's the safety,
There we go. Yeah, the
right?
visuals helped me to temporarily escape my reality of
Yeah,
hell and experience what else was possible. So there's that
yeah,
curiosity element, right? Like that evolution happening. And
yeah.
then just like you, kind of a year in, I had other symptoms pop up that got louder because I was repressing the emotion.
Right.
Right? So then it went to like 10 out of 10 constant chronic pain, daily migraine, because I kept redirecting the anger, redirecting the grief,
Right, suppressing,
redirecting
not
everything.
allowing, right.
Yeah. So then, and that was kind of that next step, just like you described, of like, okay, well, what else? What else is here? So we
Well,
start
in the beginning, think of it like this, your capacity was full, there's no room for anything,
exactly.
so you don't have room for even to allow,
Yeah.
because allowing, you have to, uh, get activated. It's exposure. It's a form of you will open the door. We're not ready to open the door yet. So we're suppressing a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
going against the rules? I guess so. But this is reality. This is practical. This is what really happens. It's not so black and white. There's a
Yes.
90% gray area that nobody knows about or talks about, right?
Exactly.
So the
Yeah.
capacity is so high. Do you want to open a door right now? Probably not. You
Yeah.
shouldn't. Bring
Yeah.
in safety. Let the capacity open up a little bit. And then eventually, when you start suppressing and then you start seeing that the alarms get bigger and bigger because what you resist persists, then we bring in the allowing lightly, even.
Lightly. Yeah.
Allow
Yeah.
light, like the
Exactly.
beer.
So I yeah, that's exactly kind of my perception of it as well is there's levels of it. And I think there's I hear it all the time, right? Like people who are in 10 out of 10 survival judging themselves for not fully sitting in the allowing or trying to jump into the deep end before
Mm,
they've learned to swim and they have no safety, no resources to access, just they're going in and they're drowning. And so for
right.
those people, we're just saying like don't judge the fact that right now you're suppressing as you continue to build safety and get curious experimenting with little bits of allowing, right? Seconds here, a
Yeah.
minute here, that will change, that will evolve. But I think that
Yeah.
there's
Eventually,
yeah.
you're going to be a hardcore, amazing, and allower. Don't worry. That's going to come. But,
Yes, it does, right? And
but
that's a
just fucking
promise.
hold on. Just
Yeah.
let's take it easy for a
Yeah,
second, right? And also, you don't got to dig for anything. It'll
yeah,
come to you on a plate. The allowing, it brings it to you on a plate. And even when it does, you still have a choice. You can go, I'm not ready for this yet. I'm going to start with the low hanging fruit.
yeah,
And this over here, it's interesting. The brain will tell you, okay, I put this on the plate, but we can only do like a small amount. And the way you know if it's too much, it tells you. It ramps up the alarms,
yeah,
right? It's like, whoa, right? There you go. It's
yeah,
telling you. It'll always send it to you and tell you. So feel it, listen to it and go, Okay, that's enough. I did 30 seconds. You know what? I'm gonna give it a break for maybe a month. I'm gonna work on these other 1,000 things that I can allow because I'm sure you got 1,000 more things. We all got 1,000 other things we can allow.
Yeah.
Thoughts, feelings, symptoms, right?
Yeah.
It's not just one, it's 1,000. So work on those. That brings the survival state down. And eventually the Brussels sprouts on your plate. Okay, I think I'm ready. Let's do a little bit more.
Exactly. And, I think we've talked about this before too, where we see people um, really, really feeling a sense of urgency and pressure to jump into the deeper work like right away.
Mm.
And what can happen with that, right? Is or even just this story of if I don't go and dig up every single wound, I won't
Mm.
heal.
That's the
And
big one.
yeah, that's a
Yeah, I've been
big
hearing
one.
that lately. I've been getting emails like crazy from people in the YouTube land, right? That are saying if or even poo-pooing allowing, even poo-pooing elevating, even poo-pooing fucking visuals. I'm like, whoa, this stuff works. This is a thing. Sometimes it's cool to poo-poo something that's been working or anything brain retraining
Yeah.
because it makes them feel like they're relevant. And some of these people haven't even went through this stuff, so I'm a little peed off about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, anyway,
Yeah.
doing the deeper work for me, I think things go in phases, right? In the beginning, we introduce the safety, then we get a nice flow into our work so that we show up, we don't give up. Because if you're overwhelmed, you might give up, and then you go back to your old habits and you're stuck for the rest of your life. So you get into a workflow, right? And you stick to it. You have a routine that works for you, right? And then you start to allow lightly. Okay, and then you start to uh, allow for, oh, by the way, 3 to 5 minutes tops, right? Not hour, not 2 hours, not 20 minutes at a time, 10 minutes maybe when you first start because you're learning how to do this. It's a bit of a learning curve, right? It took me a couple of times. I did 10 minutes of learning how do I allow? Oh shit. Oh, okay. So, but try to do 3 to 5 minutes maximum, and then you got to move on. You
Yeah.
have to move on. That's a really important thing. It's just as important as allowing. You need to move on. If it bugs you again, okay, come back to it. So 3 to 5 minutes. Eventually, the better you get at it, right? 2 years into this, it'll take like 30 seconds,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
like when you're scrolling on Facebook, oh, I didn't like that. I'm going to scroll on, scroll on. That took what, 10 seconds, right? And some things, 3 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. But you're going to get better at it and you're going to flow through it. But you don't want to sit there, pour gasoline on the fire and sit there and allow for 3 hours or 20 minutes or 1 hour and open up the floodgates. And then you're re-traumatized, you're refiring the trauma loop.
Yeah.
You're pouring
Yeah.
gasoline again. And then you get more symptoms. You're overwhelmed, but you think, no, I got to keep doing it. And some people, all they're doing is just doing this allowing for 3 hours a day. That's probably the worst thing you can do out of anything. You might as well be going to detox. You might as well be trying to heal your motherfucker gene,
Yeah,
right?
and even think about that for a second, like, what does that tell your survival brain too, right? Like, as you're sitting in that constantly, it's almost like it's like a punishment, right? It's like
Yeah,
a suffering. There's a difference
yeah,
between healing and suffering. Right? There's a difference
yeah,
between supporting and suffering and allowing and suffering. So we want to just be mindful of that too is like, are we forcing this before we're ready? Are we,
exactly.
right? Are we pushing? And what is
You're
our
forcing a
motivation?
release. People force a
Exactly.
release, and
Exactly.
people that
Yeah.
fuck with ayahuasca or mushrooms, high dose flooding, right? They're forcing a release. That's going to put you back way further back.
Yeah.
Just like, are you in your first session going to talk about all your horrible traumas from a person that's been sexually abused? Does that make sense? No, you
Exactly.
don't do that,
You need to build safety first, right?
right?
Safety with the practitioner, with the experience, with the emotion. Sometimes the emotion surface before even the memory does. Can we
Yeah,
can we sit with an emotion and like that again? We've you know really want to just for those watching that safety having that foundation of safety is needed first, and before you go into any trauma. And there are many pathways to safety, and I wanted to also you
yeah,
know, talk about that because for you, like visuals has been a big part of safety for you, right?
yeah.
For myself,
Dancing,
visuals was a really big part for me as
yeah.
well. We did a little talk on it too. Maybe we can
Hmm.
link it in the
Yeah,
chat in the caption. But For myself, somatic work and working with emotion has been massive, right? Just
Mhm.
feeling sensation in my body and building safety in my body again. Even my connection to God, like my faith, knowing
Yep.
God is for me and with me has been my safety.
Yeah.
So there's so many pathways to safety, and we want people to understand that if there's like, I find when we're watching a lot of the stuff on Instagram, we're scrolling past, and there's people are like, you have to do this or else you won't heal, right? And it's like all of this fear mongering and saying you have to do this, you have to
Oh, I fell
dig up
for it.
we all did dig up all
Yeah.
this trauma, and
You
so
have to activate the vagus nerve because if you don't, you won't find yourself to recovery. Fuck.
So there that fear messaging, right? If you don't do this, this will happen or this
Or
won't
this won't
happen.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so there's a lot of stories out there, and what we're trying to really with every hope rope that I share is I'm trying to show you that there's more than one way to do this, but there are principles, the same kind of principles in it, right?
You
Which
see the
is
patterns. Yeah.
yeah, there's the
The
patterns,
core patterns.
accepting,
Yeah.
allowing, right? That there is building safety,
Safety. Yeah.
supporting, and then there is this beautiful thing that happens, which happened for you and for me. Whereas when I felt safe, when I really had that foundation, that's when the trauma surfaced to heal.
Mhm.
Not I tried to dig it up before I was ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
I crashed big time, big
Yeah.
time. It was the worst thing I could have done. And so
Yeah.
that's what I tell people is, the inner work, yes, it is valid. It can't
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
rushed. You cannot
Right.
go digging for that event or whatever. And when you're ready, it will surface to heal. It will surface to heal you, not hurt you, heal you.
Right.
And then you'll know because it'll
Yeah.
be right there. And another beautiful thing that I've noticed is that as I cultivated safety, as my clients cultivate safety, their trauma also starts to be rewritten. So
Yeah.
sometimes they'll be able to look back on an event from a different perspective because now they are not so blended with that part. They have created space, capacity. And so
Mhm.
I'm not saying all the time, sometimes that's enough,
Yeah.
right? For a specific event. And sometimes it's not, right? And sometimes we do
Right.
go back into certain things, but we meet what's there. Don't
Right.
go searching, don't go on a wild hunt for it. It
Yeah.
will surface when it's ready and
It's
you'll know it.
interesting. You sometimes if we go searching early, you won't find it. It's not. It's hiding from you for that
Exactly.
reason. Right.
For a reason. There's a purpose to the repression initially, right?
Also, think of it this way: when you're ready, you're also not dealing. You're seeing it more of a curious observer. You might, you want to work on your people pleasing. You want to work on some of these adaptive mechanisms that you had as growing up. You can take a break and live life for a month and come back
Yeah.
to it. Not
Yeah.
like before, where it felt like it was something you was desperately needing to do to change because don't forget we also had 75 symptoms at that moment. Now I don't have the 75 symptoms right now that are clouding everything, right? That I'm lost in. Now that's all clear, and now
Lovely.
I can handle this, some of the adaptive mechanisms in a different view, and I take my time with them and really see as a curious observer, oh, this is interesting. I did this. Why did I do that? Okay, well, maybe I can change. Now I'm ready to set boundaries because I have the capacity to deal with the after effects of when people don't like it and the resistance that you get.
Yeah.
So imagine saying no to people when you're dealing with 75 symptoms. You got the OCD looping thoughts, and you start setting boundaries with your wife or your family or your friends, right? And then you got to deal with the backlash of it, and then the OCD starts going, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh, they're gonna leave me. Oh fuck! And then you start apologizing to them. You take everything back like a real bitch, right? You're not standing your ground anymore.
Yeah.
You backtrack everything, and then you're looping on that, right? And then your survival state goes up. That was all for nothing, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the capacity. You can't handle that right now. That now is not the time. And I even tell people, you know what? Keep people pleasing. Maybe some ways have some times where you say no, but in a way, some of these old things that we do, keep doing them for now. Just manage in the beginning, right? Even some of these hacking, right? Keep some of the hacks going. Keep taking some of those supplements that you need. You manage the symptoms for now in the beginning, right? Cutting everything cold turkey might overwhelm the system because you're not
Exactly.
ready yet.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's temporary. Eventually, you will change these things,
Yeah.
but do what you got to do in the beginning just so you can do the work.
Yeah, and I think the like how we even see the things that are outside of us that are kind of external, kind of moving on to this topic of do you think having supports are okay as you heal? I'm not so black and white where I say,
Yeah.
if you want to go and get a massage because it feels good for you, go get a massage.
Hmm.
If you wanna work with someone on your diet and stuff that you think might support you, knowing that you're still doing this work and making this the paramount thing, I think that nutrition does have a place too, right? Like, if we're
Yeah.
drinking Coke all day and
Yeah.
eating, garbage all day, but how are we viewing these things? If you're taking a supplement or a medication, is
Yeah.
it the golden ticket? Are you seeing it as the thing that's going to save you? Or are you saying this is a support as I
Right.
continue to build safety, as I, build my capacity to be with what is? And
Yeah.
like, what's your perspective on that?
Well, yeah, we want to in the beginning use whatever you can use, even though it breaks the rules,
Yeah,
right?
the
Break
rules.
the fucking rules. I tell people, make it easy on yourself. If you got to go to the chiropractor or
Yeah,
take that supplement that it's frowned upon in the TMS world or whatever, keep taking it. Keep people pleasing. Keep doing the things that you're told not to do because you're breaking the rules. Keep doing them. It's just temporary. Eventually, you'll follow the rules and you'll do the things the right way. But for now, do whatever. Because if you're overwhelmed, you're not going to do the work. You're going to be stuck. It's not sucked stuck ruminating on that symptom or that thought because you're so overwhelmed. You're past the capacity. You can't handle it.
God,
Right? You're setting off the fire with the gas everywhere. So wouldn't it be better to have yourself in a place where you can think kind of straight
yeah,
and do the work and show up every day, take action, bring that survival state down, bring in the safety. And then when you're ready, you start taking away the supplements, you stop doing the hacks,
yeah,
right? And then eventually you allow more and then you're ready for, you're recovered.
yeah,
And here's another thing. I think people have this fear that if they don't do the deeper work, right, there's this fear that, well, I have to do that or else I will never get there, right? And it's like, no, no, you'll get there. That's not even a thing. You'll get there. You'll recover, right? And when you're there, then you can do the deeper work,
yeah,
right? That's just a natural progress. It just happens to
yeah,
be, you notice it. That's actually where it's supposed to be, near the end there, and a little bit after the end. That's the stage, the third
yeah,
stage, right? First, second, and then it just so happens that it shows up there
yeah.
in order. It tells you, right? So
It
don't
shows up when it's
don't be
ready,
so
right?
fearful of it.
Yeah. And that's another thing, right? When it's ready, you'll know. And sometimes
Yeah,
you'll still be at a place where you have symptoms and it will surface
yeah,
because the symptoms again are just, expressions from the parts that are surfacing, right?
yeah,
Expressions from that state. So I have
right.
other people on the opposite spectrum saying, I don't want to go into it keeps surfacing, right? It's surfacing to heal. It's saying, okay, we're ready for this. But then people are blocking it saying, "No, no, 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 I don't wanna go there until I'm 100% free of everything." And
Mhm.
so we see that extreme where you're saying, "Well, if it's surfacing to heal, if it's surfacing and, keeps kind of coming up, right? Let's get curious. Let's get
Yeah,
curious with this. Let's see if again, reach out for support, work with someone, and start that process, right?
yeah,
Start the process. If it's there, it tells me that you have the capacity for it, is my
yeah.
point. So it's like the two extremes where there's the people who are gung ho trying to dig everything up and like get rid of it so they can
Mhm.
heal. And then the others who have made it so far, but they are just not, I'm not going there. And then they get stuck and they're in that like kind of
Yeah.
loop. So
Well,
it's
you're
just
in
so
control. You're
interesting.
the one in the driver's seat. So, just what? Do little bits, and that's okay. Don't think that, well, that's not enough. I'm not going to move forward. I'm just going to be, no, it's okay. Right. And if you go over, that's okay too. If you
Yeah.
go over the training zone and you crash, that's, you know what? You just found out. You
Yeah.
found out
You
where
learn
your
something.
training zone is.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and for myself, I had no idea what my training zone was because, I was first of all, like, housebound and bedbound for so long. So, a lot of the times, I didn't even know that I had the capacity that I had because I didn't have the opportunity to figure it out. Like you said, you had a dog. The
Mhm.
dog, you had to walk it. Had you
Mhm.
not had the dog, would you have gone outside? Right?
Right? No.
Sometimes we wonder, and for myself, I had kids,
Mhm.
and I had help, my parents took them to school, they took care of them, they cooked for me, and I had that support, and I'm so grateful I did.
Yeah.
But I also, when I lost a lot of that support, I had to figure things out for myself, and I found that I actually had more capacity, or even I have
That's
how
true.
right? Like, you have these examples of, like, when you're put into a situation that you didn't expect, didn't plan for, and you had to do it, and then you're like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap, I did it."
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I didn't know
Well,
I could.
what I tell people is your normal journey through this, you should have you should have it set to making exorcisms jealous. That's your norm. That's good. That's hell. That's a good hell, right?
Yeah,
Going past that, okay, you're gonna find out and you're gonna know, yeah, that was way too much. But
yeah,
you can't be those people that pull back so far that they don't do anything. They're
yeah,
self-soothing on their couch all day, and they're not pushing themselves because, well, I don't want to flood myself, right? And so they're the extreme where they're just playing that old program again. So
yes, yes.
you do have to get uncomfortable.
You
You do have
have
to push
to.
yourself.
Yeah.
You have to take action. It's gonna suck. You're gonna feel like shit, and you're gonna make exorcisms jealous. So that's a good normal way to have your workflow. So
Yeah, yeah.
we're saying take it easy, go light with the allowing, yeah, but we're not saying do nothing and take it really easy, right? There's
Yes,
that balance there.
exactly, and I talk about this all the time is how we can live as we do this work. Right? Because so many
Mhm.
people I find is like they close themselves off to the world so that they could heal, and they miss out on anything that resembles living.
Right.
And, they avoid all the events, or even for myself, like, I got so rigid with my practice that I was like, I wouldn't if someone invited me to something, I can't not because I have to do my rounds, right? I can't
Yeah.
go out because I have to do this. If I don't do 3 of these a day, if I don't do my hour of visuals a day plus my this plus my that,
Mhm.
then I'm not gonna heal, and so I'm sorry, I'm not gonna come out. But the living
I
is
couldn't
part of the
either.
healing, right? Like, going
2 years,
out,
forget it. First
right?
2 years, I was not going to big any Christmas, hanging out
Yeah.
with friends. I was doing nothing. So, okay, I get it there, but there comes a point where, you have to, um, do the things. You have to live life first, and recovery will chase you instead of recover first and then go live life type of thing. You gotta do it the
Exactly.
opposite way.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, I think that's a really important message to hear is because healing shouldn't be your life, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
live as you heal and you heal as you live,
Well,
and they're
that
weaved
brings another
together.
point.
Yeah,
Stop going, eventually I did the group coaching, then I had to pull out of it a little bit. I had to pull out of the forums. I had to stop watching all the mind body people. Even though it's mind body, yeah, here are the answers, but even though, maybe stop watching all the success stories. Stop watching all, like, maybe go garden.
yeah, go
Go
out.
for your walk. Go
Yeah.
for live your life, right? Nothing to do with health all the time. You're already
Yes,
doing enough
yes,
health with the
yes.
pillars, right? Do something else. I had to stop watching Dan Buglia for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Even though he was pretty easy going. He was pretty safe, right? But then, you make it all about health, so you have to find something else to replace that.
Yeah, or even the people who are constantly consuming, and thinking they don't have enough, and so then they overload themselves with so many programs or so many, trains
Mhm.
of thought or practices, like, where they, find themselves in complete healing burnout, right? And they're
Yeah.
thinking that they still don't have enough, and I always say, it's like, let what you have now be enough. Focus on one
Mhm.
thing. Focus on one way of doing this, and give it time. So I think a lot of people will give up. Oh, I did this for 2 weeks and nothing happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Try
The
again.
people that know all the programs, but they're wishy-washy about actually doing the program and
Yeah.
sticking to the work,
Yeah.
right? I did visuals for 5 minutes last August 2023, and it doesn't work. It
Yeah.
sucks. It does not. So they poo-poo on it, and then they give up and they go back to trying to detox, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
didn't work for them, or because they didn't really apply it. They didn't really do it.
Yes. And that's the thing is I think, I've seen so many people recover in this community. And I see what they all have in common, and it is that consistency, showing up
Mhm.
every single day,
Mhm.
not beating themselves up for
Mhm.
not doing it perfectly or missing around or whatever. I used to take off days. Did you ever do this? I used to give myself a break. I'll be like, you know what? Sundays are, I'm not doing any healing work Sundays. Right. That's
No,
like my
I
time with God and my time with family. Like, I'm going to give
nope.
myself the weekend. No. Well, it worked for me.
I
All
was
right.
the
Like,
biggest, laziest motherfucker on the planet, and when I did this work,
yeah. Yeah.
and it probably made me a little bit sicker doing that, but it paid off in the long run, right? I,
Yeah.
I had to. I
Well,
had timelines. I was breaking all the rules. I had timelines.
yeah.
I was fucking right, but it worked for me. That's what I needed.
So you came from a less rigid, like you said, you were like lazy or whatever before you did that, and then you kind of evolved. But whereas I came from like rigidity, I was militant,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
in, law enforcement. So for
Right.
me, I had to break the rules in the opposite way, where I had to purposely suck at something,
Yeah.
purposely don't do it perfectly
Yeah.
and miss a day, not choose to take that day off. And that was so uncomfortable to say, like, you're not doing any healing work. That's your work today, is to not even think about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember it was hard at first, but I had to go there because if I was rigid, which I was initially with DNRS, I drove myself crazy. Was literally
Yeah.
driving myself crazy, right? Just saying like, "Oh no, I didn't do this." And then I would go into an activation. "Oh no, I didn't get my full time in today. I'm not going to heal." And that part of me was beating myself down, right? Like, you suck, you failed, you're, like that. Did you ever see that movie Major Pain with Damon Wayans, where he like yells at the kids? It was hilarious. Major, and he's like,
I don't remember anymore.
anyways, it was kind of like that idea of this, this officer yelling at me and berating me. That's how it felt. And so I had to
Yeah,
flip the
yeah.
tables, bring in compassion. What the hell was that? I never knew compassion was before,
Well,
right?
there's also I did it all wrong constantly. I was very strict about doing the work every day. My schedule routine wasn't it was more ish. It was,
Yeah.
it was there to serve me. But I want people to know that I did all the allowing wrong all the time. I did everything wrong constantly
Yes.
through the whole journey. I did it wrong, and I found out every time I did something wrong, I learned something from it. I
Yeah.
needed to do shit wrong. So I tell people, you know what? You should almost do this wrong. I want you to purposely do the way you think it's, by the rules, do it wrong so you learn what works for you, because
Exactly.
that's the gold. It's not
Yes.
trying to do things right all the time, because you never learn nothing from it.
No. No.
And trust me,
No.
I was the worst. If I can recover and do things horribly, but I did show up, then you can too.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of, like you're taking healing into your own hands, but helping it reflect you, your values, your
Mhm.
character. It has to become a part of you in that sense of, like, for instance, copying that script from Annie Hopper in DNRS and repeating that
Mm,
all day long felt so inauthentic for me. I
mm.
had to completely change it so that it reflected
Do you
me.
remember it?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I
I
changed
I
my weight. Did
I'm
you?
half Oh, I changed it after, I think, a year. I made it to my own. I have my own still. I still have my own. I
Yeah.
still have a
Yeah.
a little
I ha
script. It's
I
a bit
have
of a
my own.
prayer.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how it should be, right? It should be
Yeah,
unique as you are, and that is, why we want to explore, right? That's why we find what works for us. The visuals are clearly so aligned with you, and for me too. But
yeah,
also somatic work has been life-changing for me, right? And it's just like evolving, and then I see people, in different ways. So make it your own is my point.
yeah.
But I remember I'm trying to think if I can remember it. I used to say, instead of stop, 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 I would do calm, 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 or relax,
Mm.
relax, relax. My brain is stuck in a rut, right?
Right.
It's sending messages to my brain and my body that are false, that are untrue, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I would go into that.
I forgot most. I think I remember stop, stop, stop. My brain is in a rut, causing my limbic system to, and it was like a rap. It turned
Yes.
into it.
Yeah. And it didn't even mean anything at that point. Like, it had
No,
no
it didn't.
emotional attachment. It was just like reciting,
We're
like just
exciting.
reciting, right?
Yeah.
So I memorized it, but it was in the actual like visualization where I actually felt something.
Right. Well, I
right?
have
That's
the
when
one
the
I have
chemistry
now.
changed.
I have the you can use whatever you want, whatever if you believe in God or Buddha or whatever. You use what you like and make your own little script. Mine
Yes.
is I want to thank my higher self, God, my guides, consciousness. Thank you for protecting me, my dog, my daughter, and my family, and Charlie. And thank you for protecting us and give us guidance and help me on this journey. And I always tell you, you can always intervene. You're always welcome to intervene to help me. And then I'll keep going. I'll talk about, I try not to go too long. I try to
It
cover
sounds
my
like a
bases.
prayer. That sounds like a
Yeah, yeah,
prayer, Helmet. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's like you talking with God, right? That's like literal that literally sounds like a conversation. That's what
Yeah,
that is kind of like a reflection of when I talk about building a relationship with God, that's kind of what it sounds like. You're just talking to him. I do that
yeah.
when I go for my walks. I like
That's what I do.
I talk, yeah, and a full on conversation, and there is an answer. I'm telling you, like
Synchronicities tell you right
there's
away.
always something there, right? So, that's so cool how how most of us
Very
really
similar.
find our faith, in on this journey, some sort of connection to something bigger than us. But I wanted to ask you one question before
Mm,
we or 2 questions. First one,
mm,
what is the stupidest thing you did to heal or like the
mm,
craziest,
mm.
if you wanna share?
Okay. Uh, two of them, and there's a lot more. Well, there's
I
also the coffee
this could be a
enemas.
whole episode actually because I have a million of them.
I did coffee enemas, that made things worse. I did, turpentine. It's,
Turpentine.
yeah,
Isn't that
it's
like paint stripper
thinner,
or
paint thinner, yeah,
thinner?
but but it's pine pine needle oil, and it's
Okay.
harvested from this place in the States, right? And it's $100 a bottle, and the slaves used to use it to heal themselves from all kinds of things back in the whatever, and people were using it for candida and gut issues,
Oh, okay.
right?
Interesting.
So then I bought this bottle and I tried a little bit and I felt all fucked up and I stopped. It was getting insane and it was
Yeah.
dangerous. I could have killed myself with using this shit.
Wow. Wow, that's
Um,
crazy.
what
The
else?
desperation, right? Like, we get desperate,
Yeah,
right? Like, no shame
one
in
at a time.
this.
I went through them all one at a
Yeah.
time. Okay, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
this. That doesn't work. Try this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I also took meat, fermented meat. I would take like liver or whatever meat, put it in a jar, close it, leave it in a cool area for 3 weeks, open it up, and eat it. Right? So it would have a lot of bacteria in it. I did liver. It tasted like chocolate. I felt high, really high, taking this stuff. Like you feel like whoa, like really high. I bet you there's some sort of psycho thing going on there. And when I used that, because there's a lots of bacteria in it, I went into a ulcerative colitis flare
Oh, of
right away,
course.
which makes sense because it's stressing
Yeah.
the nervous system and
Yeah.
the biome. Boom! All of a sudden, I had bloody stools after that. I'm like, okay, I got to
Wow.
stop fucking with
Wow.
this shit.
That's crazy. So
I
there we
went
go.
down the rabbit
Anyone
hole, deep
yeah,
rabbit
anyone
hole.
listening, don't feel bad about what you've tried. I remember one of the craziest things I did oh man, there's so many,
Mm,
but, I was I don't think I've ever shared this before, but I'm gonna do it.
mm,
I was conned into I worked with a lot of or felt like I was, working with a lot of people in new age world and stuff.
mhm,
And one lady convinced me that the reason I was so sick is because the people I interacted with had no souls and
mm,
I paid her to get their souls back. And
mm,
so hundreds of dollars each time for each
mm.
person that she would go on a journey and get their souls back. And so for anyone watching, you think I'm crazy. I was desperate.
Fuck,
And the
that's
reason we're sharing, right, is because we know, right?
that feels real. That feels like, oh, that's dark shit.
It was
Oh,
crazy. And I remember begging my husband for more money. Like, we have to, because I
oh,
can't be with my mom because she doesn't have a soul, or I can't be with this person. I can't
oh
be in
yeah, yeah.
their energy field. And like again, this should
OCD
be
can fucking fuck
yes,
with you with that.
exact and that's what happened. It developed into and then I started being, in this paranoia about everyone around me. And I said, I bet they don't have a soul. And I started going, that's where agoraphobia really,
Yep.
really
Yeah, yeah.
ramped up. So this should be a whole other episode. Maybe I'll share
Yep.
more about this journey, but just wanted to share because there's a lot of people out there who feel shamed about the things that they've done and tried. And what we're
Hmm.
really trying to say is when you feel this awful, you're going to try anything.
Yep.
And we hope that you find this work
Mm.
before you try all that stuff because it took us a while to get to here. But
Yeah.
I think that now this work is much more out there and accessible, that it's saving people earlier on. So
Yep.
before we end, we're going to end now. I wanted just to ask if someone was there and you're talking to the person who is struggling, like OCD thoughts, can't function, unable to get out of bed, and you were to give them a piece of advice. I call it a hope rope. What would it be? What would you say to them?
Um, Show up, take action, do the work, keep it simple. That's really important. Keep it simple. Don't make it too complex. Bring in the safety and have patience because shit's going to get 10 times worse before it gets better, but that's good. And it's not an indicator that you're not recovering. It's actually get used to it, but just make sure you keep going no matter what, and you will get there 100%.
Awesome. Yes, you will. So if you want to reach out to Helmut, you can find him at The Mindful Gardener on YouTube, also on Instagram, and I'll pop the rest of his links below. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. That was great.